don't listen to the Beatles run. Old Bo Cephas threw a jukebox needle at the honky-tonk where their boots stomp all night. What? Yeah, and what they call work a digging in the dirt. Gotta get it in the ground before the rain come down to get paid, to get your girl in your four-wheel drive. Yeah, the boys round here drinking that ice cold beer, talking about girls, talking about trucks, running them red dirt roads out, kicking up dust. The boys round here sending up a prayer to the man upstairs. Backwoods legit, don't take no lip. Shoot a back, shoot a back, shoot a back, a spit. Oh, heck. Well, the boys around here, they're keeping it country. Ain't a damn one know how to do the Dougie. No, I'm not in Kentucky, but these girls around here, yep, they still love me. Yeah, the girls around here, they all deserve a whistle. Shaking that sugar sweet as Dixie Crystal. They like that yawling southern drawl and just can't help it 'cause they just keep falling for the boys around here. Drinking that ice cold beer, talking about girls, talking about trucks, running them red dirt roads out, kicking up dust. The boys around here sending up a prayer to the man upstairs. Backwoods legit, don't take no lip. Shoot her back and shoot her back and shoot her back and spit.
Let's ride through the countryside. Let's ride down to the riverside.
Hey now girl, hop inside. Me and you gonna take a little ride to the river. Let's ride. Let's ride. Lay a blanket on the ground. Kissing in the crickets is the only sound. We out of town. Have you ever got down with a do you wanna get down with a girl, you gotta get down with the boys round here, drinking that ice cold beer, talking about girls, talking about trucks, running them red dirt roads out, kicking up dust. The boys round here, sending up a prayer to the man upstairs. Backwoods legit, don't take no lip. Shoot her back and shoot her back and shoot her back. I'm one of them boys round here, drinking that ice cold beer, talking about girls, talking about trucks, running them red dirt roads out, kicking up dust. The boys round here, sending up a prayer to the man upstairs. Backwoods legit, don't take no lip. Shoot her back and shoot her back and shoot her back and spit.
Welcome to the WINGIT call, June 13th, 2016. So let's all take a knee, please. Lord, please watch over us. Give us an understanding heart, ears to hear, to read between the lines, and just to give us your general guidance when you bring this blessing down. It is in your time. You know what's going on. Could you just share a little bit, please? We ask this in your Son's name, Jesus Christ. Amen. Okay, before we do anything, there will be no more fussing. There will be no more cussing on this call. I apologize. I got carried away for one reason. I'm extremely passionate about protecting and giving the best guidance I can, and I do not take very well to people bashing us, but I cannot control what other people do. So from this day forth, it doesn't matter what they do on their sites. It only matters what happens over here, how I present it, and how you understand it. I was just doing what I thought was right by showing what other people were doing, and I was wrong in that. You understand what's going on. I was just trying to protect us. So that being said, we're going to go forward. There is not a whole lot of intel out there, so these calls from now on will bring to you what we have, but everybody has got all the sites that they go to, the other calls that they listen to. And you're doing your own research, which is a good thing. Excuse me. And the recording is on. I started it to always catch the first part of redneck. So everybody's doing their own research. You have your own discernment within yourself. Use your head, use your gut, use your heart, and you'll figure out what's right and what's wrong. We have never been and never will be a date and a rate. We're just going to bring the information to you. So that being said, Art's going to come in here, and Art just brings what he believes is the truth at this time. So I don't want anybody bashing him, saying we're bringing dates and rates. We're not. It's just what we're hearing. Art's been around this probably as long as anybody, been through several calls, and I'm glad to have him on this one. And then we'll go from there. Art, go ahead.
Well, thank you very much, and welcome to everybody out there in Dinar land. And I truly believe this is going to be your last call. That's my thought. But there's a sit rep report out. I'm not going to read it, but Wednesday, the 15th, the Chinese were supposed to take over the gold exchange. We've all read that. And HSBC, the OPEC oil exchange. That was changed. According to this report, today is the day that has been done. If it's been done today, in my estimation, we should see some rates today. I base it solely on that, and everybody's kind of been talking about it over the weekend. They felt today would be the day. So I'll just kind of, there is no intel. Like you say, it's all done. Everything's been done. And that was supposed to be an RV announcement along with that Paris Accord. And so if they've moved that up to today, well, then I think that rates just have to come out and we start exchanging and have our 6 days at whatever those high rates are going to be. I know what they're stating, and I know they're hard to believe, and I, of course, have kind of sort of felt that way too. But like I told everybody, when you get there, they offer me 65 cents for a Zim and $2.27 for a Dong and $9 for a dinar or $8 or whatever. I'll be the happiest guy in the world because it's finally here. That's what we've all been looking for. Just get the 800 numbers, get our exchanges done, get on with their lives, help a lot of people. If they offer the higher rates, I figured all that out, my estimation, and I've always said you don't have to take the high rates. You can take something in between if you want to, I guess. Work that out in your own conscience, whatever you feel you can handle as far as the philanthropy part of it and all the people you're going to help and humanitarian type projects. And I know a lot of places my wife and I certainly have made lots of lists of places we can certainly start in the church and other churches that need help and a lot of things in the church and
Hey, Art?
a lot of people. Yes.
I forgot to do the disclaimer. I'm sorry. The disclaimer is it's running a little late. We're not an attorney. We're not attorneys. We're not financial advisors. We're not CPAs. This is not any form of legal advice. This is just our opinion, not to be taken as any legal advice. For the rest of the disclaimer, please go to the wingitcall.com. There is a disclaimer tab. You can click on that, and it will have the rest of the disclaimer. Thanks, Art.
Okay. So anyway, it just looks like it's here. And like I say, use your own judgment on whatever rates that you take. And I know somebody said a while back, if they do offer real high rates and you take those really, really high rates and you've got trillions of dollars, you better be able to handle it and put it out there someplace. because it could destroy a person, I do believe, if you have too much anyway. So just in your own heart of hearts, you'll have to decide for yourselves exactly what you do when it comes to that, and you'll find out as soon as we get to make our appointments. As far as calls go, yes, I've been on a lot of calls, not every call. Certain calls I, of course, didn't want to be on, but 6 years, I made just about 6 years. I've not been in 13 like Oki and John and some of the other folks, and my lordy, I don't think I could have stood 13 years. I mean, 6 seems like 20. But a lot of things happen, in the meantime. We've lost an awful lot of good people in the meantime waiting for this doggone thing to happen. And I lost my best friend a couple of weeks ago here and, had the currency. Now I've got to help his children out to decipher what he has, what he doesn't have. They know nothing about it. Of course, that's part of my job, I feel, and I just feel bad he's not here to enjoy it. I lost partial sight in my right eye in 1988, and the same thing happened a couple of weeks ago. My left eye, I went to the ophthalmologist today to get an opinion, and he's not exactly sure yet. I went for also a CAT scan, but he said there's something called druzzles. Druzzles have attacked my nerves in my eye, and I guess what that is, they compress, they put pressure on the nerve, and it messes up the nerve where it distorts your eyesight. So I got half a sight in one eye and half a sight in the other eye, so it makes one eye. I can kind of see straight ahead, but no peripheral vision on either side. So, and I've got a balance problem, but hey, that's the good Lord had that plan, I guess. And they say there's nothing, you can't operate on a nerve on the eye. So that's kind of disappointing to find out maybe that's what it was. But got to go back Wednesday. They're going to do one more test, and that's something you just learn to live with too, I guess. And that won't prevent me from helping a lot of people and enjoying what we're looking for, as long as I can still talk and get around somewhat, even though it might be with a cane and not like I used to. Why, we'll get her done. But I've enjoyed every call I've been on, and I didn't make comments on the deal between you and Yosef, and I didn't want to. I didn't even read what you wrote to him. I didn't feel it was my job. I mean, I'm sure that you two worked that thing out anyway. You're both really great guys, and I think everybody on all these calls are great people, and they all have their job to do, what they think is right, and they state what they think is right. And I think everybody, to me, everybody's supposed to be working on the same team to get this thing done. That's the way I look at it. And so, like you say, no sense having fights and arguing or anything else. I do believe we're there finally, and I just wanted to tell everybody out in Denarland I appreciate all of you, and been happy to work with all of you and bring in the intel that I have over the years. Not that any of us had intel that was correct. We didn't know what was happening at the time, and now there's a clearer picture on it and why it took this long. But I really do believe we're there, especially if what they stated today happened, that Chinese took over today. Why, I think sometime today we should hopefully find those elusive 800 numbers. So just thanks to everybody, and thanks to you, Jerry, for your call, and I'll just leave it at that, and everybody have a great future.
Thank you, Art. Appreciate it. Just a second here. Okay. But whoever you want to call them, wants to bring disruption and disinformation to Denarland. It keeps us unbalanced. I'm just not playing that game anymore. Oh, I forgot to bring that in earlier. And also, most importantly, I think about these things after the fact, but I should have done this at the beginning. All of our prayers go out to that, not a false flag, but those people in Orlando. That was not a good thing. And so I wish Pastor was here, but he has an obligation today. Anyway, so Father, please watch out for all those people that got caught up in a contrived situation by that individual. Everybody's seen enough and heard about it. I don't think I need to go any farther. Please protect them and bring them through whatever they're going through now. Wingman, are you there?
I am here.
Any words of wisdom from one? As we go through these questions here, one of the questions, I'm skipping around a little bit. Where's it at? one of the questions says, Iko, from your friend, can you give us the latest info on the exchange centers?
Right. Well, I can. But just real quick, just to wrap up old business. I got lectured for a half hour on my language last week. My wife reminded me that I no longer exist in the union construction world of New York City. I am now talking to people around the world, and I should be aware of that. And as usual, she's right. And also just to speak to Art sharing about his personal life, a bunch of my high school buddies and I got the wise idea to borrow our kids' dirt bikes and go dirt biking for the day on Saturday, which only taught us that we really are in our early 60s. We are not 19. I'm walking around like a 90-year-old today. And you gotta, sooner or later, I guess you gotta realize that, you've grown older. So that was my big wake-up call. I was miserable yesterday, so a little better today. But there is good information out today. Something I wanted to bring to the conversation is the folks who follow the market end of this venture, how the markets are changing, how they're all coming together, how some are phasing out and others are coming in. And if you do follow the world markets, you'll know that since Thursday, the entire planet's come down close to 8% net. The exception, of course, is the United States. Somehow the United States always end up hovering around zero. And they're within 0.5% of profit and loss. Highly manipulated, clearly highly manipulated. Now there's mainstream articles out there. You can listen to Bloomberg and have people talk about it, like what's going on with the U.S. market. This is horse poop, etc. But what it's showing is, I don't know if everybody remembers, but months back, we had the almost event in January, and then we had another one almost in April. And in April, there were a lot of theories put out that the architecture, the design of the GCR had a step-by-step process, and as one step was completed, the next step would be taken on, that would be completed, the next step would be taken on, and we would gradually come down to a 0 point where there was nothing left to do but the GCR. And people have been talking about that being present now for a good couple of months. Along with that, there were the market people who said the dollar had to weaken to so-and-so, the Japanese yen had to get below $1.05 in USD value, the bond market had to finally become transparent and show that it was also inflated and manipulated. The Chinese had to become a reserve currency. The Chinese had to go asset backed. And all those things now are right there. The yen was $1.05 and 15 cents, I think, this morning. It only has to, if they have one more night in the red, that's it. The yen, but the Japanese bond market is done. And when that is done, when that is insolvent, it will drag huge portions of the European and the U.S. bond market down with it, because they cross-collateralized it. Did the same crap they did with the housing market, just by another name, with the bond market. So if the bond market collapses, Deutsche Bank collapses, Citigroup, not Citibank, Citigroup collapses. Goldman Sachs has basically, a hole in the bottom of their boat that they can't slap a bone into. And all of this is now present for us right now. So it's like all of those things, no matter what camp you came from, and then there's the Iraqi camp, that the people who think, Iraq has to be 100% ready, announced they're worthy, etc. All those things are now present and accounted for. So we are right there. So the word coming out today, the enthusiasm about the 15th, even the enthusiasm about tonight, is well-founded. May or may not be 100%, but it's real intel. It's grounded analysis of world situations and what has to be in place in order for the GCR to happen. The GCR can't happen without the RD. So we really are in a good spot. As we all know, no guarantees, but again, this is the closest we've ever been, closer than the last 2 or 3 times. And the rates are looking very good. So even the lowest rates, we are still, highly blessed, very fortunate, lucky to be at the table. So that's,
I'm back.
That's all I have to say about that. Okay.
Mike, I get kicked off my own call.
I just came off dates and rates. Not
there,
really,
well,
but
all righty then. Okay, so
I hinted.
I've got 13 questions, so we're gonna go with these one by one in order, so the transcribers won't be ripping me a new one. Number 1, our grandson is ill and has been granted a Make-A-Wish trip starting on the 18th of this month. His father holds currency but would rather not travel with it. Do you think we will RV before this so we can go ahead and exchange prior to this date? Because of the illness, they certainly could use this RV. Thank you for your help and guidance. So I'm not sure how far you're traveling from one end of the country to the other. I'd take a small note with you. And that allows you to have a little liquidity into your account, which allows maybe one of you to hop on a plane at a moment's notice after you've went in and exchanged the small note and then ran back home and took care of the rest of it. Heiko, your thoughts?
Yep. Yeah, that's good advice. I was also thinking, Make-A-Wish, it's not just you guys that are going to be traveling around. There's probably going to be a small entourage with you as well. So, in a sense, you've got a little bit of security there. You've certainly got a greased pathway with airlines and things like that. But Jerry's advice is more conservative, and it's going to be okay if you need to get back home and you need to pay through the nose for a plane ticket to get back home. It's okay if you go in the next day. I still hold to the 72-hour caution that has been consistent throughout this venture. That we've got 72 hours to get in and do what we have to do and still be what is basically first online. So don't sweat it, and you can even explain that to the unit operator or to the number that they give you to make your appointment. People respond to things like that, and they bend the rules, things like that.
Oh, and also, you got to remember, they're going to give you 2, maybe 3 minutes. They don't have time for your life story. Approach it as military terms. They're going to ask you a question. You're going to give an answer. You're not going to elaborate. They're going to ask you another question. Give an answer. Don't start off with, I'm so glad. Hello, my name is so-and-so. Because how many people are waiting to call in? Once you do that, and at the very end say, I'm in one state and I'm having to catch a plane, can I get a later appointment, say 12 hours from now or 24 hours from now? And I'm betting you they're going to work with that. What they're going to appreciate when you call in is giving it to them just like that, like you're in the military. Question 1, bam, done. Question 2, bam, done. Question 3, bam, done. Because they're on the clock too. Okay. Question 2, how close are we really to this RV? Well, you heard Eiko give an explanation, so this is getting it. It's actually forcing it a little quicker probably than most. And again, some don't want us to ever have the money and others want us. The pressure is immense from the rest of the world to get this done because everybody is hurting. The only people that aren't hurting is the cabal, and I have a feeling they're starting to feel the pinch. But what do I know? I'm not a cabalist, and so I can't really give you good information on that. Okay, question 3. We have heard many people all over Denarland saying the RV will happen by mid-June because China is going gold back with the yuan on that date, and it will force the U.S. to go gold back there by forcing the RV to happen. I have not been able to find any reputable article stating this fact either inside or outside of Denarland. Do you have any information on this that would validate this? I read an article a little over 2 months ago, and I believe it was from Reuters, and another article. I don't think it was from over in Europe that China was doing this. China had actually talked about when they do go gold back, and they actually give a date in there, in which was June 16th. They said if people want to set their budget, countries, when this happens, this is what our currency is going to be worth. Since then, I think they've sanitized the internet and kind of removed those articles so people like us, the sheeple who are doing a lot of work, can't find the articles. I should have saved mine in my PDF, but I was an idiot and didn't. Eiko, can you add to that real quick, or say nope, got it?
No, that's it. It was put out by Reuters, and it is now gone. But we heard it and read it, and enough people heard it and read it, so I'm banking on that one. The 16th, China's going to do something. They have in no way, shape, or form said they're not going to do it.
All right. Question 4. In the past, we were told to trust the banks, and I'm hearing that we need to bring a lawyer to the bank now. There are so many rumors, not intel out there, that I don't want to believe. Some of them I can tell is false information, but others I cannot. The reason on the last call, or the one before that, I said to take a lawyer is because we're now being told that no electronic devices will be allowed in there, i.e. laptops, cell phones, cameras, recorders. But again, and I say this, we won't know until we get there exactly what's going on. And that's why I said I'm taking an attorney with me, because I fully don't trust. A little bit of skepticism and paranoia is a good thing. And so that's why I'm taking an attorney with me, because if they're recording it and videoing it for their benefit, why can't I have a witness there also? I'm not going to go in by myself, because if there's a question about what happened, and I know that they're listening, and oh no, we'd never do that, but past endeavors on other situations like missing emails could happen. Well, it's been 6 months or a year, and we just deleted that recording. Matter of fact, the hard drive automatically got put in the recycle bin, and it's been redone, so we don't have that video anymore. Well, then you're out of luck. So that's why I'm saying bring a lawyer, and that's the reason behind it. I think that pretty well covers it. Eiko?
Well, I'm not bringing an attorney. I'm not bringing anyone. I do better in these things solo. However, I know that when I leave that exchange meeting, I will have a deposit slip with an account number on it. I will have a signed NDA outlining I mean, if there's any evidence that there was a meeting, there it is. And within a week, my holdings will be diversified. So, but I know how to do this, and I'm comfortable doing it, and I've done it before because of the money I handled in the construction industry. So I'm not recommending to people, if you're in any way worried, at least bring a witness, bring a family member. They'll have to sign the NDA, no big deal. If you've got an attorney willing to go with it, even better. But instruct your attorney that unless it's really just outrageously blatant that something wrong is occurring, the banks have sorted this out. They want throughput. And as any businessman knows, throughput is the key to profit. Get them in, get them processed, get them out, get the next one in there. So if you've got a lawyer who's a wise ass, that's not going to help you. That much I'll put out there. But if you're uncomfortable doing this alone, by all means, bring somebody you trust, somebody who knows how to behave in these situations. Somebody who understands business meetings. That's what I got to say on that one.
All righty then. Question 5. Any information as to who or what is holding the release of the 800 numbers up? Not a clue. If we did, that's a position I don't think I'd really want to be in. That's knowledge of way high up there, and then it puts you at risk. Okay. Number 6. Is Chase going to be exchanging Zim? Well, we hear not. We've only heard Wells Fargo. And so I'm going to err on the side of caution and say when you call, go to Wells Fargo or call Chase first and say, hey, are you going to be exchanging the Zim? Now, I have heard a rumor that Chase will be, but they won't be given the rate that what Wells Fargo is going to be giving. So you're fully informed.
Yeah, and
go ahead.
The intel person that we do know who is in an exchange center, Chase Exchange Center, that individual is saying that you got to go to Wells Fargo. That's what they're saying.
Okay.
So, and maybe Chase will be handling it down the road, but for the 800 numbers, you got Zim, you're going to Wells Fargo. That's what anybody who has any kind of credibility is saying, at least for the first 72 hours.
Okay, question 7. Is there a possibility that we might be allowed to exchange one note at exchange centers within the airport, such as Travelex? Please advise. Okay, first answer is no. Why? Because they have a limit of cash like $600. So I'm thinking when you go in, you're going to be well over that limit, and they're not going to be able to say, well, here's my account number. Can you wire it here? No. That's why the first answer is no, but Travelex, that's their business, doing currency exchanges, but of a very low denomination or dollar amount or whatever currency you're in. So there's your answer on that one. Number 8, and back to number 7. The reason I know this is I have went to the airport, have talked to Travelex, have purchased some of my currency through them, have asked the same question, and that was the answer. So I feel very comfortable in giving you that response. Number 8. What is the purpose for all this misinformation that is being put out there? Is it to keep us from purchasing more currency or just keep us divided, upset, and off balance? Aiko, please take it away.
It is specifically to keep us off balance, arguing amongst ourselves, not being able to act as a single unified voice of 5 to 6 million people. That's exactly what it's supposed to do. The caveat is it's not only the bad guys, but it's also the good guys who want it this way, because there's so much money involved. They have to control it. If you remember Jerry's example of trying to water your new lawn with a fire hose, you're just going to come up with a sea of mud. That's the same principle. We do not, you and I, forget about the government, forget about the cabal, forget about anybody. You and I do not want to suddenly have 5,000 multi-billionaires dumped on the U.S. market. It will be a disaster. So the misinformation is from both sides of the fence. Unfortunately, it's designed to keep us at a level of inactivity and constant discussion and constant arguing and constant taking side. And they've done a very good job of it. But the fact of the matter is, it's just, it had to be that way. But don't be upset about it. It was for both good and bad reasons, just like life. You don't get just good and you don't get just bad. You get a mix, and you got to figure out how to live your life with that mix.
Okay. Question 9. Is it possible to believe in the RV GCR without drinking the Republic Kool-Aid? Seems that almost all intel mixes RV with Republic news. It's hard to know what to believe. Well, let me see.
Yeah, you answer that one, Jerry.
Oh, well, thank you, buddy. Okay, here we go. Nothing stays the same forever. Look back through time. The only thing constant in life and time since the beginning, since Christ was crucified for us, the only two constants is death and taxes. Everything else changes. It might take a while, but it's always changing. Now, that being said, without drinking the Republic Kool-Aid, we could only hope that happens. I have my fingers crossed, but I temper it with a little common sense, saying, let's hope. If it does, I'm on that bandwagon. But as of right now, we haven't really seen anything. And if it was happening, I think they're keeping it under wraps, because if that got out, there might be chaos in the streets. So I hope that answers your question. And no, Aiko, we're going on to question, we already did question 10. We're going on to question 11. Is there any concrete intel on how this will come to fruition? Will we be given 800s or just messages to go to our banks? It gets confusing as some say banks, some say exchanges outside the banks, and others are given crazy intel to send your currency to an LLC. Let's break this down. Is there any concrete intel on how this will come to fruition? Wingman?
Well, yeah, there is. Wells Fargo isn't doing all this work for nothing. Presidents don't issue executive orders for the fun of it. Organized groups don't aggressively spread a disinformation campaign onto another group because they got nothing better to do. Iraq hasn't been doing what they're doing just to look good. There's concrete reasons they had to do the things they had to do to join the WTO. The petrodollar is disappearing. China did become a reserve currency. All these things are concrete and necessary steps for the global revaluation, currency revaluation. And also another thing you can do with all this disinformation, with all the information we're getting, the good information, think of it as if you were running your own little business. You know, what makes business sense and what doesn't? And 9 times out of 10, the thing that makes sense, like that, well, that's a good step. Like, what's the simplest way to get people into the exchange centers? The 800 number system. You call, you tell them what you got. That's a pre-qualification phone call. You tell them what bank you want to use, and they've got a list of banks there. And the one that's closest to you is they give you that address. And no, it's not a retail bank branch. It's a separate office that's been set up with security. I mean, if you look at all of the things that make sense that we've heard over the last half dozen years, just pick those things out, and you get a very straight, consistent story. What you hear rampant rumors about is the rates and the dates. But all the infrastructure, all the fiscal stuff, all that stuff that you know has to be there in order for this to happen, you know, the transference of gold around the world, the fact that you know, the asset-backed world economy, that's not a Denarian discussion. That's something they're talking about in the UN every day. That's something they're talking about in the IMF. Just pick those things out of the soup and put them on your plate and start arranging them, and you'll see, oh yeah, this is real, this is happening. We're just getting a lot of BS about when and how much. And of course, those are the two things, those are the two hot topics that will constantly keep the community in a state of confusion. So yeah,
there you go.
You know, yeah, I know I'm going to be a wealthy man, and soon. Don't know exactly how soon.
Well,
no,
your answer pretty well answered the rest of the questions. Will we be given numbers or just messages to go to the banks? Covered. It gets confusing as to say some banks, some exchanges outside the banks, and others are given crazy intel to send your currency to an LLC.
Oh God! Don't give your currency.
No. Okay. All right. On to question 12. Will you continue to share any info after the RV? Yes, I will, and I think the wingman might join me in this. I don't know. I haven't. That was one of the things I was gonna ask him, but since I got him on the spot today, wingman, are you going to join me post RV to do a few endeavors?
My understanding is that the NDA basically focuses on don't say how much you had, don't say how much you got, don't say what rates you got, and don't acknowledge the entire exchange experience in a public forum. My understanding is that Jerry and I get on the phone and talk about anything we want as long as we're talking to each other. You know, it's if your intention is to rat out the exchange process, yeah, you're going to get in trouble. Now, I don't know what the penalties are going to be, but I'm sure the penalties will be stated in the NDA. But we can have phone calls. Certainly, we can have security seminar. I mean, we can talk about a lot of stuff, and I'm pretty sure that what we'll be able to do post RV the very next day is get official answers to questions just like that. You know, we've had this phone call going, Mr. Whoever, Mr. Attorney. We want to continue the phone call. What topics are we explicitly not allowed to discuss? And I'm sure there are answers for that. Already decided. We're gonna have a blueprint of what this thing can look like after post RV.
Are you in front of your computer?
I can be in 2 seconds, yeah. What do you want me to look
Well, I just sent you an email, and once you get it, I want you to scroll down to question 13, and should we even discuss it? And,
Okay.
and while you're at your computer,
Please hold.
well, while you're doing that, we will take a caller.
Takes a minute.
We're going to be on the web. Come on down.
Hey, Jerry. Thank you for letting me talk again. Basically, I just want to encourage everybody that's on the call, start giving Thanksgiving. Tell the Lord thank you. Be grateful. And be willing to help each other the best that you can. And just go and enjoy life. That's all I got to say.
Thank you, sir. One more, because he's probably still waiting. Middletown, Delaware, 302. Middletown, Delaware. Come on.
Can you hear me?
Yes, sir. Go ahead.
Thank you guys for your grounded calls. I very much appreciate them. You're not the only grounded call. I listen to the calls that are out there a little bit because in my experience through this whole process, things that I would have said were out there 2 or 3 or 4 years ago are pretty well accepted now. My question is, we put a lot of stock and a lot of faith in these people who we call the White Dragon Society. And, my question is, who exactly are the White Dragon Society? I'm glad that they are, quote unquote, benevolent and that they are, facing down the great evil in the world. I appreciate them beyond measure. However, on the other side of this, if these people are not for him, then they're against him. And so the whole conversation in Dinarland about these things that you were talking about on Friday, I know you don't want to go there, but, a lot of that stuff about, the ascended masters and all this junk. My question is, these people are just people, right? I mean, they're just people. And although they have protected monies and they've done a lot of good through this process, on the other side, if they are not for him, then they're against him. And so I don't want to put too much stock in them, but I don't really know who they are, except that they are royals, and I've read all the stuff that everyone else has read and listened to all the things everybody else has listened to. And I don't know if you even want to speak to it or if you can speak to it. I really appreciate all the groundedness. I appreciated the other day when you had Awaken 3D on. It's very, very, and Aiko, I've appreciated you from the very beginning. I've appreciated you from the very beginning about bringing all the information that you brought that was grounded. It helped. It helped when we were hearing the, every day it's going to happen stuff from some of the sites without any kind of basis. And through this process, I have to admit that, I understand now what AIB means and BRICS and what the heck, the Shanghai Gold Exchange. And, I've read Confessions of an Economic Hitman, and I understand how the world works. My eyes are open to so many things, and I'm looking at what this process is and who these people that we're putting all our faith and trust in. And I don't have the first clue as to who they are or what they stand for, other than they stood against the cabal in this time frame that we live in.
Okay. I'm going to go ahead and mute you out because I think Eiko's probably getting pretty close. So
yeah, I was. Go ahead.
If you were in a secret society, your name might be out there, but you don't want to be known. And this is how I'm looking at it. If they're doing our benevolent white hat work for us, it's kind of like, who killed JFK? You're never going to know until you're pushing daisies and you say, Lord, who killed JFK? And he's probably going to say, it doesn't matter, my son. Here's JFK over here. Or all the what's the best way to put this? All the politics within the politics within the politics. If you're that high up there, I don't want to be that high up there, so I hope that answers your question. We know they're there. We just don't know who they are. Let's leave it at that. Did you get that email, Wingman?
Yeah, I'm looking at it right now.
Number 13. Do we even want to address that?
Yeah, I'm looking at it. No, because you know, we'd still be guessing.
Okay, that's
We'd still be.
okay.
We'd still be. I get. Well, hold on. Let me just.
No.
Listen 8%. Listen 1%. Okay, so why don't we say what the subject of 13 was about, but that we won't comment on the actual numbers in it.
Okay, I can put it to you like this. There's number 13. It says, "What's your thoughts?" and it gives 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. It gives 7 different currencies and it gives a value to them. But
well,
on
actually,
Dinar
it gives
Chronicle,
a percent of holders. That's what it is.
right? But it also gives.
Oh wait a minute. I'm sorry. It does give a value. Pardon me. Yeah. Right.
I'm gonna
we
smack
can't
you around.
Talk about that. We don't know.
Hold on.
Okay.
On Dinar Chronicles, this article was sent to me with this little snippet that was sent for question 13.
Okay.
Yeah, so it's out there in Dinar Chronicles. It's a sit rep report. And it has all that in there. And no, we're not talking dates, or are we talking rates? But I can say this much. It gives a value for the dinar in saying more than 90% of all currency holders hold dinar. VND, about 8% of all currency holders. Zim is 1% of all currency holders. 1% for the rupiah. 1% for the rial. 1% for the Afghani. And PHP, I'm not sure which that one is. That's a new one I haven't.
I think that's isn't that a drug oil you used to take back in the 70s?
No, that was PCP. So that pretty well ends all the questions that was sent. So we're going to go take another caller here. Washington, Maryland, 301. Come on down. Hello, Washington, Maryland, 301. Hello.
Hello, how are you?
Miracle Queen, go ahead.
Miracle Queen.
Huh?
Go ahead, Miracle Queen.
How
Miracle
are you
Queen.
doing today?
Good. What's your question, sweetie?
Well, I was questioning, are we still going to have a request of which bank you would rather go to?
Yep, you got a choice.
Okay, will they have the same rates that Wells Fargo will have?
That nobody knows.
Anything you want to know? Okay, well, thank you very much, and I hope this is our last call. And tell your wife happy belated birthday.
Okay, thank you. Houston, Texas. Can you hear me now? Houston, Texas. 832, come on down.
Hey.
Hold on. Yeah, there's a lot of hey, Houston, there's a lot of background noise, and until you get it cleared up, I'm going to have to go on to somebody else. Fort Lauderdale, Florida, 954. Fort Lauderdale, 954.
Good afternoon.
How you doing?
If I was doing any better, I'd call my doctor. I recognize that you don't do dates and rates, and please forgive me. the ice in the shaker prevented me from hearing what Art said the rate on the dong was. Can you?
He did not say anything.
Oh, okay. He related what he heard.
I didn't hear him say a rate. Did you?
No, he referenced things that have been stated, though. He did. So
yeah.
Okay.
That could be interpreted that way. Sure.
Okay. Yeah. No dates, or no rates were mentioned.
Okay. I understand. Thank you for the information, and I'm sorry I asked.
No. It's okay. Thank you, sir. Brighton, Colorado, 720. Come on down.
Yes, can you hear me?
Yes.
Oh, okay, Jerry. I have a question to ask you guys because you made a statement in reference to taking an attorney, and I believe the other gentleman mentioned about taking a witness. Now, tell me this. Now, the witness or the attorney, they don't have too much to lose because they're not bringing any currency to the table. And if they're signing an NDA, what would their loss be if they walked out of the bank with you and start telling everybody what they witnessed when they were in the bank? Would you lose all of your money that you brought to them? Because we have to think about this, because sometimes you don't never know who your real friends are until you do receive money. And they can get angry at you about whatever, and then they can start talking and telling everybody about how much money you have and this, and they signed an NDA. Half the people don't even really know what an NDA is other than just reading it. But if they don't have anything to lose, would you lose if the person that you brought in there, it could be a family member, it could even be your mother, it could be anybody, but would you lose anything if they decided that they wanted to tell their best friend what they witnessed when they were in the bank with you?
Folks, this is an example of somebody who's going to keep their money. Listen to how this woman's mind is working, because that's how your mind needs to work when you've got this kind of money. That's what I have to say about it.
Well, I don't think you're going to lose what you have because somebody else flapped their gums. You didn't break the NDA; they did. What will their losses
but
be?
There does have to be a penalty, Jared.
Yes.
There has to be.
Correct.
So that's
we don't know what the
maybe you are tied into whoever you bring to this meeting. That's a darn good thing to think about. It really is.
A good question to ask when you get there. If that's the case, then
yeah.
But if that's why I'm saying if you take an attorney with you, they understand about NDAs, and if it's a high-powered attorney, they're not going to risk losing their livelihood. That's an
intelligent. You're speaking of an intelligent person, Jerry. You have to understand all family members and friends are not very intelligent because they don't have the integrity of an attorney. Okay, but you guys have to make sure these people understand that they can't just bring anybody in there because they're saying that this is their friend and they have their back or whatever, because they don't have your back. They have their back. But if they don't have anything to lose and they get jealous of what you have, okay, and let's say that the NDA makes a statement as such, that whoever you bring, if they break the vows of what they had to sign for, you lose everything. But people have to think about that. They can't just say, okay, I'm going to bring my boyfriend or my whoever with me, and then, what this thing that everybody says when an accident happens, oop, I had no idea that would happen. Well, you don't plan for that unless you think about it ahead of time. So they've got to understand that you just can't bring anybody into the bank with you. Half the time, the people you bring ask more questions than you would because, number one, they haven't even been on the phone.
Hold on. That's why I'm not taking any family members. I'm taking a professional. That alleviates all the problems you're talking about. And when in business, to invite family members into business is to invite chaos and failure.
Exactly.
So
exactly.
I know where you're going. Anyway, thank you, ma'am.
You're very welcome, sir. Goodbye.
Tell people what you mean from your tweet. Things are crystal clear. The crystal clear part is no more fussing, no more cussing. Tell it like it is. Let the other calls do what they're going to do. Everybody has been in this long enough to do their own research and to be able to discern who's telling what, whether it's worthy or not, and that's the crystal clear part. No more cussing and fussing. You've got all the information you need, and that was when I meant things are crystal clear. And that was my apology at the very beginning, because protecting you is first and foremost. That's what I do, to make sure everybody's okay. So there we go on that. Let us go to Las Vegas, Nevada. 702, come on down.
Hi, Jerry. How you doing? Thanks for taking my call.
Good.
Jerry, just a quick question. On the Zim, how do you know you have the right one? Is that the one with the 3 rocks and the Cape Buffalo head on it? Is that the right Zim?
Yep. 2008 AA, AB, and even if it's the 50T, 100T, any denomination thereof, that is the 2008 series. It seems to be the one that everybody wants.
Okay, dude. All right, that's what I have. All right, I appreciate you taking my call, and I hope this goes real soon.
Yes.
Thanks a lot, and God bless, guys.
Okay. Thank you, sir. I'm not sure. This is how I'm going to pronounce it. Paris, California, 951. Come on down. Hello.
Yes,
You're there?
hello, can you hear me?
Yes, ma'am. Go ahead.
Hi, thank you for accepting my call. First of all, I wanted to comment on a couple of weeks ago you had a lady, I believe it was TCU.
Yes.
And she was speaking about how we should be appreciative and have common sense about the exchange and being realistic about the rates.
She lost her mind. She lost her mind. I kicked her to the curb like a bad habit.
Her advice was so good, and unfortunately, it's going to go over 90% of everyone's head, because people are still going to go in there, and it's going to be like a buffet. You see everything, and you want everything, but realistically, you should only take what to your portion, what you can eat. Another comment I wanted to make was about your comments last week. You never have to defend yourself, and always be weary of anyone that their first comment is, "I'm a Christian." That's the first thing you want to back away from, because if you're a Christian, you don't have to tell me. I'm going to see it by your actions.
Well,
I really enjoy your calls.
And I say it in all kiddingness, TCU's lost her darn mind. I had to kick her to the curb. She's like a woman. You can't get a word in edgewise. I finally had to hit the mute button, and I kept hitting the mute button on my remote, and I couldn't see her, but it wasn't working.
Right. It's just words of wisdom that keep you grounded, and everyone really needs to examine that. They really do. Because with great wealth and with knowledge comes great responsibility.
It does. Thank you, ma'am.
Thank you.
Okay. Last caller of the day, California, Rex on the web. Come on down.
Well, hi there. Thanks very much. Are you able to hear me well enough?
Crystal clear.
Oh, wonderful. Terrific. Thanks. I've listened to you for a little while now, Jerry, and I've enjoyed you. I've listened to some of the others and candidly kind of connected with the comments of an earlier call. Some of the peripheral subjects and ideologies, philosophies have sort of muddied the water. I, for one, have always wanted something kind of specific, status of events leading up to a revaluation, and how does that connect with countries more globally in terms of the so-called GCR. I can also join in thanking you for trying to keep it as level-headed, straightforward, and as honest as it's possible to make it. Here, I think, is the core of my question. I have a few years talking to people, advising people about things. It's my work. And I would think if I had given bad advice a number of times, that I would not get repeat business. I would not get referrals. And the thing that's caught my attention is good-hearted people saying things that they believe when they heard them, but from the same people who had given them poor information previously. I don't know about anybody else, but in the way I do what I do, I kind of, politely, you don't have to be cruel about it or vulgar or mean-spirited, but you kind of check them quietly off the list. You don't continue to draw from that individual as a resource when they have, in effect, proven themselves to be incorrect. Now, that can't apply to persons in your position because you are relaying what you have heard in good faith. But how is it from your position that you look back, as it were, realizing, you're kind of touching resources that we who are listening to you cannot, and you don't get good intel, to use the standard term here? How is it that you, if you do, continue to use those same resources to then relay out to us folks? Have you given that thought, or is that sort of an ongoing process that you're trying to make sure you're only drawing from good and reliable sources? How do you do that?
Well, it goes back to the vetting process, and I've said before, I don't have any contacts, so I have to use my common sense to listen to what's going on. And after being in this for a little over 6 years, then you find out real quick by talking to different people what could be BS, what could be good information, and what could not be. So I hope that answers your question, the best I could.
I appreciate that. It's an almost impossible question. Are there people at so-called redemption centers, and who are the reliable people at banks that will in fact quietly talk to you, over their lunch or something? And all of those kinds of questions run through the minds of people who are listening to you, I think, and wondering. When they say there are redemption centers, someone says there are 5,500 of them across the country, which translates into, quite a few per state. It makes you wonder. I've never seen one. None of the people at my bank ever speak of them, and so forth. So I guess that's part of the how do we help use our common sense along with you as we're figuring out this, bit of intel or that new info. That's where my questions come from. I'm just trying to not be silly about accepting just the next exciting word. That's all.
No, and it's a great question, but a lot of those, I nor several other intel providers, if not all of them, cannot answer, and unless they're way up there in the stratosphere, and that's way higher than I probably will ever be. So
no, Roger that. I understand. This is not just chit chatting about change for a 20 at your local bank. I get that. Okay. Well,
all right.
It's fun to listen to you. Thank you very much, sir. I appreciate you taking the call.
Uh-huh.
Hey, Joe, I'd like to speak to that.
Go ahead.
I personally, now of course, here's the next problem is, do you trust me? But I will tell you point blank, I know the location of 2 exchange centers. One is for Wells Fargo and the other is for Chase Bank. I have not been inside the exchange center because I can't get into it. But I saw where they told me it was. These are people who are working at the centers. And I went and I investigated on my own. And I got as far as I could without a security badge. So I'm saying the exchange centers exist. And again, going back to that analogy I used earlier, it made good business sense for them to be where they are. They're already in security-type buildings with checkpoints, with metal detectors, et cetera, et cetera. But the other thing I just wanted to point out was, remember DC back on Tony's call, okay? About midway through that campaign, we got word that DC was absolutely placed there by a 3-letter agency to both help and control Tony's audience. They were working both sides of the fence. Some of the stuff that DC gave us was invaluable, and if you listened to it, you wouldn't have gotten caught up in the reserves scandal. You would have understood that what I call the 72-hour window has been a valid time frame for that all of the banks have been working with since day one. That the 800 numbers was the structure they wanted to use. DC gave all of this to us. DC also gave us the Twitter campaign. I mean, that was Tony's idea, but DC helped orchestrate it, and DC and his bosses made that legitimate to the people we wanted to get to, the people who didn't want us to have a dime. That Twitter campaign turned them around on their heads. And DC helped us with that Twitter campaign, even though you could see him as also a bad guy, giving out misinformation. So that's the razor's edge that this whole thing has been about. And as you learn to listen for both sides of the coin, you get better at it all the time. And you can tell now what's misinformation and what's valid information coming out. At least I can. I feel I can. I hope that helps to answer your question. It's that gray area, It's the world's full of gray.
Thanks, Echo.
Thanks, sir.
Okay. Take a knee, please. Lord, thank you for watching my lips today, guiding my heart, guiding my mind, and hopefully the information that I have brought to the people will resonate and bring them some more understanding. If you would, watch over, give good guidance to the people that are listening, and hold us to that position until we either have your blessing come down or the call on Friday. And I ask this in Jesus Christ. Amen. Well, that's it, everybody. We are done till Friday. Uh-oh, that's not it. There we go. All right. Say goodbye. Goodbye.